back. We got some overwhelming feedback from our previous Ghost or Demons video. If you haven't watched it yet, then please consider watching it first, and then come back to this video or follow the video link at the end of this segment.
Wow. We were overwhelmed with some of the responses we got from the last video. We uploaded it on various platforms just to see what happened, and we were surprised. In our last video, we discussed whether ghosts are real and concluded that what people often perceive as ghosts are most likely demonic encounters. But there's one story from the Bible some may use to challenge this view. Let's analyze whether this story supports the idea of ghosts, or if it still points to demonic deception. Now, some of you may bring up the story of Saul and the medium in 1 Samuel 28, verse 3 through 25. A passage where Saul consults a medium to summon the prophet Samuel. At first glance, this seems like a biblical example of a ghost. But let's break it down. First, it's important to understand that Saul was in a state of rebellion against God. He was desperate, and God had stopped answering him. Consulting a medium. A practice God strictly forbids in Deuteronomy 18 verse 10 through 12 as a sinful act. Now, was this figure truly Samuel or a demon masquerading as him? The Bible does call the figure Samuel, but we need to consider the context. Necromancy, or summoning the dead, is condemned by God. Would he work through a sinful act to bring Samuel back? It's highly unlikely. God had already pronounced judgment on Saul through Samuel during his lifetime, 1 Samuel 15 verse 28, and God had stopped communicating with Saul. Why would he suddenly reverse course when someone is using an occult practice? So, what's more plausible? It's reasonable to believe it is a demonic deception. Demons are supernatural beings with enough knowledge of God's plans to manipulate the truth. In this case, the figure's message aligned with God's previous judgment, but the result wasn't repentance. It was despair. This fits the pattern of demonic interference. The takeaway here is clear. This story does not prove the existence of ghosts. Instead, it underscores the danger of engaging in occult practices, which open the door to deception and destruction. Saul's encounter with the medium only sealed his fate, driving him further into hopelessness. The key elements of the passage: Saul's desperation and sinful act in which Saul was in a state of despair. God had stopped answering him, neither by dreams, nor by prophets, nor by the Urim. In his desperation, Saul violated God's commandment against consulting mediums or necromancers. Deuteronomy 18, verse 10 through 12. And the medium, known as the Witch of Endor, was called upon to summon Samuel's spirit. So, what happens in the passage? The medium claims to see a god coming up out of the earth, describing an old man wrapped in a robe. Saul perceives this as Samuel and bows down. Samuel speaks to Saul, reiterating the judgment already given by God through Samuel when he was alive. The kingdom was torn from Saul due to his disobedience, and it would be given to David. So, the figure repeats God's judgment. He predicts that Saul and his sons will die in battle the next day. So now, the argument that it was Samuel. The passage calls the figure Samuel several times, and the text does not explicitly say it was a demon. The figure restates the judgment Samuel previously gave Saul while alive, which aligns with God's truth. And finally, the argument that it was a demon instead of Samuel. Necromancy is forbidden by God. Since consulting the dead is condemned by God, Deuteronomy 18 verse 10 through 12, it seems unlikely he would allow Saul to summon Samuel's spirit through a forbidden act. And then the medium's role. The medium was engaging in a practice that aligns with demonic deception. This raises the question: would God use an act of sin to communicate his will? Demons are supernatural beings with knowledge of God's plans and purposes. They can manipulate truth to deceive. The demon might have known God's judgment on Saul and used it to further terrify and discourage him. And with God's silence towards Saul, Earlier in the chapter, it is clear that God had stopped communicating with Saul. It seems inconsistent with God's character to then respond through a forbidden and occult means. So, in conclusion, the identity of the figure is open to interpretation, but the weight of evidence leans toward this being a demonic impersonation of Samuel rather than Samuel himself. God's silence earlier in the passage, combined with his condemnation of necromancy, suggests he would not contradict his own commandments. Demons, as deceivers and manipulators, are capable of speaking truths, even about God's plans in order to advance their own purposes, and often to instill fear or despair. This fits the pattern seen in this story. Saul was driven further into hopelessness after the encounter, leading him to his ultimate downfall. So after hearing all of this from this video and the last video, we want to know what you think now. Let us hear from you in the comments. Thanks again for being with us today. May God watch over you and bless you.
Fire and Brimstone Ministries is a self-funded effort, and our goal is to share the love and truth of Jesus Christ with everyone we can. It costs nothing to like this video. Subscribe to our channel and share it with others. It's one of the simplest and most impactful ways to spread the gospel. And now, we have something very special we want to share with you for the coming year. Stay with us. You don't want to miss hearing about this. What if we told you there's a timeless blueprint for living a life full of wisdom, success, and blessings? It's not a secret, but many overlook its power. For 31 days, we'll explore the book of Proverbs, a treasure chest of practical advice and divine principles. Whether you're looking to grow spiritually, excel in your career, or strengthen your relationships, this study will guide you step by step. Let's start the journey to transform your life. I promise you that you won't be disappointed in the results you will get from this study. And that's a promise.
Welcome to 31 Days of Proverbs, a lifetime of wisdom, for wisdom, success, and blessings. I'm going to guide you through this transformative journey. Each day, we'll dive into a chapter of Proverbs, unpack its wisdom, and discover how to apply it to our daily lives. But first, let me share a real-life story. A group of Christian businessmen committed to studying the book of Proverbs daily. They didn't just read it, they lived it, apply its teachings to their work, families, and personal lives. What happened? Their businesses flourished, their relationships strengthened, and they experienced blessings they never imagined. They found that Proverbs is more than ancient wisdom. It's a guide to living a truly blessed life given by God. Proverbs is a book filled with principles that work, not overnight, but little by little, just like planting seeds. As we nurture these seeds with action and faith, they'll grow into a harvest of success and blessings. This study is about putting those principles into practice. So, how the series works. Each video focuses on one chapter, starting with Proverbs chapter 1 on day 1. If a month has 30 days, combine 2 chapters on the final day. For February, work in the extra chapters throughout the month. You will be so excited about this study that you will want to jump ahead and do more than 1 chapter a day. But just concentrate on 1 chapter a day, except for February and months with 30 calendar days. If you are really determined to make this work and see what God can do in your life, consistency is key. Set aside time daily for these lessons and watch how your life begins to change. Here's my challenge to you. Commit to all 31 days. Give Proverbs the chance to transform your thinking, decisions, and outcomes. You'll gain wisdom, insight, and blessings, 1 chapter at a time. If you're ready, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single day of this journey. See what tomorrow brings as you experience day 1 of our study. And I know that God will bless you as you enter into this study with an open heart.
Subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the 31 Days of Proverbs, a lifetime of wisdom. If you want to make that supernatural change in your life coming into the new year, then you'll want to be right here with Fire and Brimstone Ministries. And tell 10 people you know to get the word out. Thanks, and have a blessed day.